What's going on YouTube? Ali Dope checking in once again with another tutorial. Alright, so right now we're just going to do a quick speed art / tutorial for cover art that did not get approved by the artist, but nonetheless it was a cool art. So I just want to walk you through some of the steps that I did for this one. So right here, all we're doing is going over and creating a new gradient, radial gradient that is, with a little red to reflect the colors in her bra. I'm just going over here trying to pick the best picture to fill up the space. Okay, I'm happy with that placement. So now I'm going to create another gradient map that's going to bring out some of the colors of her skin and some of the earth tones. Also with this, I usually add levels, brightness and contrast just to get the levels, everything right for the final edit. So as you can see in my layers palette, I have levels, I have a brightness and contrast, I have a gradient map, and that's all gonna be overlaid or soft light blending mode over the whole image. And then I don't like to mess with the background or anything, so I usually just make it a clipping mask on whatever picture I'm editing. Alright, so here we're just gonna cut out the image using the pen tool. Like in all my other tutorials, pen tool, lasso tool, object selection, whatever is good for you. This one I'm using pen tool because there's going to be a lot of curves for this particular image, so I just don't want to miss anything, and I just want to be really precise. Okay, so now you can see after I deleted the background that those colors are really making the skin nice and saturated or desaturated for like a nice lonely feeling for the song. This is the vibe I got off the song. The artist was actually looking for something a little bit more upbeat and happy or something like that. But to me, the song reflected a sad energy and sad vibe. Still happy nonetheless, but with a little bit of sexy. But here we are. And then right now I'm just adding some outer glows to give that a little bounce around the outside of the image. Okay, right here I did a duplicate of the main image, and now I'm just adding the gauge and blur just to give it a nice little outer glow and a little softness around it. Sometimes I add that in addition to the feather and glow. Alright, so now I'm adding the glow. I just do a black and white diffusion glow, and I just overlay it on top of the image to give it a nice little pop. I do this on almost all my images. I just give it, it gives it like a vintagey soft lens blur on it. Alright, so you could just make a new group with the same images that you already had at the beginning for those, and just make a duplicate. And now I'm just going to add a photocopy texture overlay to give it that vintagey vinyl album feel. And then sometimes with whatever texture that you use, you can play with the levels, the opacity, just to make sure it fits your image. So me, I don't want her face and her mid area to be too covered with the texture, so I'm just cleaning it up with like a light flow eraser brush. And that makes her face and mid area pop a little bit more. Okay, now we're adding some of the finishing touches. We're gonna throw a torn edges PNG on there. When I started this project, I did not know what I was going to create. I just threw a picture in there, and this is all off the top. So right now I'm just adding pictures into the torn edges and as a clipping mask, and I'm just going to change the color and then give the edges like a cleaner edge. So now I'm just erasing it a bit so you can see the edges of the torn pages. Also, you can add some extra drop shadow that looks a little bit more natural with like a nice soft brush underneath the torn pages. Once again, some more deleting of the torn edges so you can see it a little bit better. Alright, so now we had to desaturate the picture inside of the torn pages clipping mask. And with that, it's going to be easier for us to add a gradient map and overlay to give it a nice little burst of color. Alright, so now the text is always the fun part. Yay! So now we're using like a script text because it's an R&B song. Sometimes I like to mix script text with sans serif. It just looks a little bit better. Sometimes when you do it with serif, it's just too much going on in the text. Right now I'm just playing with a few different styles, seeing which is going to look the best. Alright, so now we're just finalizing the design. What I told you guys before, just adding some color to those torn edges. You increase the image size a little of the main image, and yeah, I think we're gonna go with this nice brown color that matches the torn pages that match the couch. So I just try to do a nice complementary color for everything. And that's pretty much it. Add some tape to the end and there you go. R&B cover art. Hasta la vista. Keep creating.